大家好，欢迎大家收看华人工商商业论坛。Good afternoon, Dr. Robert Wilbur.
Good afternoon, Candice.
Hi, good afternoon. Welcome to CCYP's Business Forum on CCYP TV. My name is Candice Xu, the program coordinator from CCYP Business Forum. Today, we are really very honored to have you as our special guest to talk to our audiences about your former MBA student and now a financial planner, Julia Chen. Dr. Wilbur, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure, thanks. I come from a large, close family, extended family. My wife and I have been married now for almost 60 years. I have 3 children and 4 grandchildren. They're all grown, successful, living happy lives. I was educated as a financial economist, and professionally, I spent most of my years on the faculty at San Diego State University, teaching in the College of Business, or consulting with businesses, largely in the real estate development construction business. My hobbies are mountain climbing, backpacking, skiing, and generally outdoor activities. That's where I like to be.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Dr. Wilbur. How did you meet Julia and became her client?
I met Julia probably in the late 80s when I was teaching at San Diego State University. She was a student in my graduate course in real estate investment and development. And I remember her clearly as one of those unusual special students that a faculty member gets occasionally. She was always diligent in class. She did well. But the thing that attracted my attention most of all was that she had a curious mind. She was always interested in finding out more about what we were doing in class. And I enjoyed talking to her. She was a very interesting person. And that's how I first met her. And then she applied to be a graduate assistant for myself and another faculty member. And we hired her and she worked for us for a couple of years. And I got to know her very well and appreciate all the many talents she had. And that was how our relationship got started.
Dr. Wilbur, I'm very impressed with your strong financial background as professor in finance for more than 30 years, a co-director of San Diego branch of the California Land Use Institute, and former associate dean of the College of Business of San Diego State University. But I'm really very curious about why you would choose Julia Chen to help your family to plan for your financial future.
That's a good question. As I said, I was trained as a financial economist, and the areas that I worked in that were financially related were largely connected to the real estate industry. And so that's a specialized area in finance. But as you and I'm sure your listeners would appreciate, finance is a very broad, complicated field. And so when I and my wife started thinking about our own financial plan, our own financial needs, it was clear to me that that was an area where I needed to get some expert assistance. And I've been a firm believer in associating with people that are bright, that are hardworking, that are thoughtful, and that share the same values that I have. I find that in the long term, those kinds of relationships are lasting and are beneficial and productive. And so based on my experience with Julia And knowing that she had decided to go into the financial services industry, it seemed like a natural for the two of us to get together and take it, see what happened. And so we worked together, and as the more time we spent, the relationship got stronger, and I appreciated more and more each year what she could do for me and how she conducted her own business.
Thank you, Dr. Wilbur. Could you please tell us how Julia has helped you and your family?
Well, as I said, I was not an expert in financial planning in the normal investment area. I was pretty good at real estate, but investments cover a much broader range than that. Plus, there are lots of other things that go into a person's financial life, things like insurance and preparing for the unexpected, long-term care insurance, all of those things that are important over the long term. And as I said, as Julia grew in her professional capabilities, she had many things that she could help me with. I think the thing that I remember most is when my wife and I sat down with Julia to develop a plan for our retirement. And Julia was extremely helpful in helping us think through what was important to us and the kinds of things that we wanted to accomplish, and then translating those ideas into actually a financial plan, something that suited our own needs, suited our own philosophy. And then having agreed and decided on that plan, knowing it was the right thing for us, then Julia was able to put together the methods and the devices and the investments and the suggestions that actually made that plan work.
Could you please tell us how Julia Chen is different from other students and financial advisors?
Well, that's really a two-part question. One is how is she different as a student, and how is she different as a financial advisor? And I think I mentioned earlier that the thing that to me made her an outstanding student was that intellectual curiosity, the willingness to go beyond what was normal or just expected. And although it may seem strange for people that aren't familiar with what it means to be a professor, we see over a career thousands of students, and surprisingly small number of those students actually come in and talk to us outside of just the classroom experience. And Julie was one of those unusual students. As I said, she always wanted to learn more. She wanted to know why. She wanted to know what she could do to improve herself. So as a student, she was one of those that stood out over my career. As a financial advisor, financial planner, I think one of the things that's most important is finding a person who puts the client first rather than putting the advisor's interests first. And that's one thing that Julia is extremely good at. And I think why it was so appealing to us who worked with her. Whenever she made a suggestion, gave us advice, we knew that that was coming from the point of view of what she felt was best for us. So I think that's one very important aspect, and I think makes her different. The second thing is that she constantly learns new things and works hard at gathering new information, expanding her own abilities, expanding her network that she works with, professionals she works with, always trying to improve her ability to serve her clients better. Some financial advisors get in a path, they settle down, they stop learning. Julia is not like that. And so as I progressed, I could always turn to her and she could help with new ideas and new thoughts. And then probably the third outstanding feature there is her amazing integrity. She has very high standards for herself in terms of dealing honestly and straightforwardly. And I find that extremely valuable. People that have that kind of care about the way they behave and the way they work in the business world are the kinds of people you want a long-term relationship with.
Thank you very much. Can I know Julia Chan's 5 most valuable qualities and strengths?
Well, I think I've mentioned a few of them here. Her integrity, her determination to continually improve, her desire to improve the lives of the people that she serves through financial advice. I think those are all things that I perhaps have mentioned before. Another thing, she's a delightful person to be with. I always enjoy talking to her. Her experiences are different than mine. And I think it's always fun to interact with and talk with a person who comes from a different background and share those kinds of experiences. Well, that's 4, I guess. Maybe let me think for a minute about perhaps something else if you're looking for 5.
Dr. Wilbur, in the introduction of the book of The Blueprints of Practical Wealth Management, written by Julia, you mentioned that Julia had been your family's financial advisor for 30 years. So can you share with us more about the client-advisor's relationship and teacher and student's relationship?
Well, I think over 30 years, the relationship changes. We each have different needs, and I think it's been a good, strong relationship all the way.
Dr. Wilbur, may I know how Julia helps the clients for their financial independence and financial freedom?
I think one of the important things in that regard is freedom and independence. I think partly comes from being comfortable that you're doing the right thing. If a person is concerned, for example, that they should have a financial plan, but they don't do anything about it, then that creates stress. I think what Julia does is to help people see and understand and decide on what they want to accomplish. And then she helps them with that. Learning about investing is a long-term project. And the more you work at it, the more you learn and the more you become comfortable with what you're doing. And having someone like Julia as a partner in that process of growth and understanding and becoming comfortable is probably one of the most important things that she is able to do. When you're investing, there are ups and downs, and you have to learn to be comfortable with that. And you become comfortable if the financial plan that you have adopted and the investments that go into that are what you feel are right for you, then you have that comfort. And once you have that comfort and confidence, then that gives you the financial freedom to pursue opportunities, to pursue other aspects of your life.
And how long do you know Julia's daughter? What do you think about Julia's daughter's involvement in the financial business with her mother?
Yes, I've known Stephanie for quite a few years. I've seen her grow and mature into a person that has a lot of wonderful traits, wonderful characteristics, a lot like her mother, I guess. I think the idea of working in the financial planning business, working with her mother is a great idea. There's a lot that she can learn, and it is something that would be beneficial to her in the long term. I think one of the things that's wonderful about what I've had with Julia is it's a long-term relationship. And so I was thinking about the idea that at some point, perhaps Stephanie would begin to fill more and more of the role in their financial or partnership. The idea that that might pass on from one generation to another, I thought was pretty cool.
Dr. Wilbur, can you give some advice to the Chinese immigrants to achieve financial success and freedom? What pitfalls they should avoid?
I think one of the most important things is to become educated in the financial ways of doing business in the United States, and to not try and do it all at once, to be patient and work with someone like Julia that shares their own values and their own perspective on the future. It's a little hard to put into words, but
Dr. Wilbur, do you have any advices to the young generations about finance and investment?
Well, I think one of the advantages that young people have is time. The greatest advantage in investing and becoming financially independent and building your own wealth is time. And so I think the first thing I would say is be patient. Don't try and do everything all at once. Start with simple investments. Don't get into very complicated things. Learn about your own feelings and desires in investment, what kinds of risks you feel comfortable with, and become used to the idea that financial markets go up and down, and that not to panic in the down situations and not to become overly excited in the up situations. So I would say that would be kind of the place to start. And then as you get more experience, you become more comfortable with the person or persons that are advising, then you can get into more complicated investments and be more comfortable with yourself. I think it's tempting when you're young is to seek advice from friends or relatives or listen to what they have to say. And I would encourage a young person to find a relationship with a good financial advisor someone that has their interest in mind, who has experience, who has a lot of knowledge, and then build on that relationship gradually, slowly, and over the long term. And I think if you follow those kinds of approaches, I think you'll be successful, you'll be happy, you'll be comfortable.
Thank you very much for your suggestion. Julia has a vision and a determination to educate Chinese people globally to adapt the Western financial planning framework to their Chinese culture. She likes to enhance their financial intelligence quotient, FQ, in wealth management and legacy planning. She established a global firm that is called Global Financial Planning Bridge. Julia established the firm because she wants to serve as a bridge to connect and guide the people to achieve their financial goal. So I would like to ask you, what do you think about her vision and determination?
I think the vision's outstanding. I think she has the ability to do that. The idea of helping people become financially knowledgeable, to use the various financial tools that Julia's mastered to pursue the kinds of goals in life that they enjoy, do that without taking unnecessary risks, and helping guide their education. I think it's a fantastic vision. As far as her ability to accomplish it, if you know anything about her history and her background and what she has had to do to become the person that she is and the kind of financial planning expert that she is, there's no question that she has the determination and the ability to succeed at accomplishing that vision.
Dr. Wilbur, thank you very much for your time and sharing your story today. We hope to see you again soon.
Thank you, Candace.
Thanks for watching. See you next time.